I'm Levi Morgan, and you're listening to the Maniml Mindset Podcast. So you guys, so 6-7 last night.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's a tough one.
Stupid, and the rain delays are the worst.
Oh,
All you
yeah.
do is just like sit there, and all you want to do is eat. But you're like, no, I'm gonna play at some point. So it's like I can't crush too much food. So we just sit around, but it's all good.
Yeah, and then you try to like get re-amped up, and
It was just long enough to get cold. Like the body
Right.
gets like tight, and it's like, all right, 10 o'clock start, 20 minutes, get it back
Yeah.
around. But it's all
Yeah.
good. All good.
yeah, that sucks. It's the same thing. Like I know when we're shooting, and then like we get called off or something, and you're in like a real good groove, and you you never go back where you started.
Nope, never.
I remember when we were up, but I think Pittsburgh is just like, God, they're anal about that field. Like,
Oh yeah, no, they are.
I remember when I brought my boy on the field with you
Oh,
up
yeah.
there, and they were like, get off the grass.
Uh-huh.
Like,
No way.
Yeah, they were like,
with your kids?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're like off the grass.
Yeah,
I was like, my God.
Were you
They
with
take-
him? Like you
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got them down. Like after the game, we were just hanging out.
and they
talking.
still were like, get out?
They looked at Landon with like off the grass.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oof. All right.
They're-
I mean, we just played a bunch of grown men running on it, but
Are the
spikes
Braves
and
like
everything.
that too?
Not. I wouldn't say they would. They wouldn't. Like if we're out there, like players and stuff, and we have family or everything, they're normally pretty good about
Yeah.
just kind of like
Right.
whatever goes on, as long as you're not taking a 9-iron and taking a.
seeing how much spin you can put on
Yeah.
the Pro V1. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I would definitely was like Landon off the grass. I mean, they spend a lot of time and money on keeping that nice. But are you guys like on track, like as a team?
Yeah, we're right where we need to be. We're leading our division.
Yeah.
I think our record's best in the majors right now.
Yeah.
So we're rocking on full cylinders. The last month has been a little
Yeah.
as far as just like playing together as a full
Right.
team. It's like when our pitching's going great, we're not hitting. When we're not pitching, we're hitting. So it's just kind of getting back in that groove. But I like where we're at right now. We didn't do a whole lot at the trade deadline, but
Yeah.
I think we got got Max back this past Max Fried this past series. So I like where we're at.
Yeah.
I think we got a chance to.
Is this where expectations were for you guys this year? Is this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely in that realm of playoffs, World Series contention, or it's a
Cool.
bust. So
That'd be awesome.
it's a fun time right now.
Be 2 and 3 years if you guys did it, right?
Oh yeah,
That'd be
that'd
awesome.
be sick.
We were in. I think I invited you that year too to Cactus Jack 21. When you
Yeah.
guys won the series, and then we watched you guys win it at Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
right.
I guess I get it. You know, why I couldn't be here.
Would you have rather played in the World Series?
I would say.
Are we live?
I would say so. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
You
'Cause
didn't miss much down there.
Yeah, it's not that great.
No.
Killed some good ones I saw. So.
But yeah, because I grew up a Braves fan, so like when I grew up, it was Chipper and Andrew, Marcus Giles, Rafael Furcal, you know, all that, and Tom Glavine and John Smoltz, John Rocker. He was my all-time favorite, I think. Kind of controversial.
John
guy.
Rocker, top his rocker.
He was, dude. He was crazy.
That's good.
But-
Yeah, they're Chipper's obviously around all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Jones he comes around quite a bit. So
Yeah.
getting to be around those guys is pretty.
Does he still live close to there?
I'm not sure. So he just sold his house. Like I guess he's been in for forever. I'm not sure. I think he moved not far because
Right, yeah.
he's still part of the team. Like he's around during home series, so
Oh,
he
okay.
can't be that far.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was reading an article this morning talking about you kind of chasing you and another guy on the team. I think you got 27 home runs. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 37 or something like that. You guys are going after the 51.
Oh yeah, Matt Olson's definitely
Yeah.
got that one.
Yeah.
Tracking better than I do. He actually got 39 now, so he's
God.
rocking and rolling. Yeah, he's already got 100 RBIs, so he's wearing it out right now.
That's cool. That's cool. No, I think like Chipper, he still does. Is he still doing that Major League Bow Hunter stuff or no?
No, so actually, what I've heard is he's not doing that anymore. He's just doing stuff with Realtree.
Oh, okay.
Going to help a little bit with road trips and that thing. So yeah, I think
Gotcha.
that's going to be his new go-to now.
Right on. Right on. That's one guy I don't think I've ever even had a conversation with. I've seen him like ATA show and stuff.
Yeah.
I know like the guys that he used to run around with Matt Duff and Danker and all them boys,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I've ever even spoke to Chipper really. What like I know you and Tyler are pretty close and y'all hunt together a lot. And so no Nebraska this year or anything like
Yeah,
that?
no Nebraska. Sean's a little upset with me, guy out there. He's
Yeah.
like, why aren't you coming back? But like I said, I got a little one now, so
Yeah.
it's trying to stay, just around the house as much as possible. I'm gonna go down South Mississippi, and hunt with the small town guys,
Yeah.
for a little bit, and then drive down to Honey Break,
Yeah.
and do that for a couple of days. But other than that, just gonna keep it low key
Keep it
around the
close.
house. Try to kill one at home.
Yeah.
What's the
bet.
transition into being a dad been like so
Oh,
far?
it's been great. I absolutely love it. He's 15 months old now, so
Oh, man.
he's
You're in the thick
running.
of it.
Oh yeah, he's running around everywhere. Just learning new things. He's changing. It's like every time I come back from a road trip, he's doing something new.
Right.
So it's crazy. I know y'all probably get that. You
Oh,
especially being on the road as much as you are and coming back. So it's fun. They were actually in Chicago with us, so we had an off day, so got to spend some time with them.
Do they get to travel a lot with? Do they travel a lot with you guys, or they kind of?
No, they have to. They have to do they can obviously stay in the hotel with us, but they do have to travel on their own. So I think that's mainly probably the biggest reason why they don't come on the road as
Yeah.
much is just it's a lot on Anna.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
Trying to keep a
Crazy.
15-month-old on a plane
Yeah.
occupied for 2 hours or so. So
I totally get that. Like our whole like Samantha was 50% of what I did, like back before we had kids. We just traveled together, and then once you have a kid, it was like now it's just not gonna work. Like they hate traveling,
Yeah.
and like they're just, and then you have another one, and then two more. It's just like no way.
no.
I try to get Samantha to go somewhere, and she's like, not a chance,
Right.
So, and then we'll try, like she'll forget, and like she'll be like, I think we can do it. Then we'll try it, and she's like, this was no fun at all. So
No.
that's tough. But I get staying close. We don't have that ability really in PA. I wish we could kill multiple deer. That's why I try to get Sam to move to Iowa. So like we got Kansas, Illinois, everything really close.
Yeah.
You could pretty much do an entire season right there
Right.
with
Yeah.
content, but
Not happening.
nope. Well, her family's like all within 5 miles.
Oh, really? Okay, that
Both her
makes-
sisters, and then
Yeah.
their kids and our kids are so close. And then her mom's right down the road, and so it's just like
That's
no.
why. That's like everybody's always asking me. It's like, are you gonna, stay in Atlanta full time now? It's like no chance. It's
Yeah.
like we went to the same high school, so her family's there,
Mhm.
my family's there.
Oh,
so
man.
it just makes
Yeah.
so much sense to go back during the off
For
season
sure.
and make that really home base.
Yeah. I know, like, I want to dive in a little bit today on some, like, I know you get asked about baseball all the time. And so I do want to talk about baseball a little bit for sure. But I want to dive in a little deeper, too, with some other stuff. But, like, like, you were just talking about you guys being, like, number one team in the league right now and thinking about World Series. Again, you just won a World Series a couple years ago. And it's something, I guess, because I grew up playing sports, but, like, now with Landon playing and, like, being like kind of helping coach and stuff, just seeing the different attitudes on teams and different personalities of even parents and kids and all that. And like you being like, you guys are like the top, like what all these kids are like looking to try to do. Like, what would you say, like how do you guys keep that team chemistry with so many, I guess, high profile, high level athletes? Because I know there can be a lot of egos and like, I guess I've seen it in football too, being pretty good friends with Ben, like hearing some stories and stuff of just
Right.
like people that think they're like the best thing that's ever.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that our GM Alex Anthopoulos has done such a good job of is just like getting guys that are one, good players, but two, really good, like a good person.
Right, yeah.
I think that's what the ultimately comes down to, like a clubhouse is like
Yeah.
just getting guys that one have the same goal, but not are selfless enough to just not worry about their own statistical stats of what they're doing. But as long as we win ball games, that's all that matters.
Right, exactly.
That was one of the questions I had. Is the coaches looking for like just good talents but great teammates that they can kind of mold, or just like no, he maybe he's not a great teammate, but man, he's.
I'm sure like Alex has definitely passed up on like great players, but just would not vibe
Right.
with us.
Yeah.
And I think like going through 162 games in 190 days,
Yeah.
like, you're around those guys way more than you are with your family. So it's like
sure.
you definitely have to have that characteristic of what we're looking for that can mesh. And I think going back to your question, I think that's what I think. We were watching the Little League World Series, or like I guess it's going on right now, and like watching some games on before the game last night, and a little kid like caught a fly ball, and he's just like walking around like big chested. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I think just like the model of like, I know, and I'm sure it comes from us of like guys that are just like the showboating and everything. Like I'm just not a big fan of it, and I think
I
that's
agree.
kind of where it's coming from is just like they're looking up to us and kids are watching TV and you're up 8-1 and you're pimping a solo homer and like really it doesn't mean anything personally.
Right.
So it's like I think that's where I get a little like I'm trying to be like I want to be as like humble and as like professional as possible because for me this game it's you can't take it for granted. It'll humble you in a quick second. So I think like that's where it all kind of for me comes to is just like ultimately just respecting the game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. It still makes me cringe because some kids, like when I was growing up, it was like if we did something like that, oh my God, dude.
You're getting yanked.
If my coach hadn't done it, my dad would have come and drugged me off the
100%.
field. Like it was like, hey, act like you've been here before.
But I think you see it a lot with coaches too. Like my son started playing, he started playing coach pitch this year and all that, and it's like some of the kids are good, but then you see the coaches like agging on this whole personality of like, no, we're good and we know it kind of thing. It's just like, man, it's a weird vibe for a bunch of 5 and 6 year olds.
I think,
and I get it, like the whole thing, like, have fun. I'm here for it.
Right.
But I do think there's a right way to go about it.
Yeah, and I think as a competitor, you have to believe inside that you're the best, right? Or it's like you're gonna crush it.
There's a difference between being confident and being
but
just
this
like
showboating stuff. It's like it cracks me up. Like there was a kid on Lana's team. It's like, I mean, he went like 0 for like 6 games, and it's like whatever, we're working through it, and then his team gets 10 run. They get 10 run, and he gets like goes 3 for 3, and all he can talk about is how good again, it's just like he's telling all his teammates how good he is, and I'm like, come on, man, But I think it comes from you're right, like the top. I mean, and so, but I think too, like it's maybe the difference in why you guys are doing so well too is just the team chemistry.
Yeah,
I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, totally.
Because I see it even in business and anything. Like if you get one person that nobody wants to be around involved, and like just people are annoyed with all the time, it just becomes a cancer to everything. Just
100%,
no doubt,
just spread. So
you guys have guys in the locker room that'll, if something starts getting out of line, that you just come kind of snatch it up and be like, hey.
I think we have a good mix of guys where there's not just one guy that's just like monitoring the whole clubhouse. It's we have a ton of veteran guys from Charlie Morton to Max Free to Sean Murphy to Matt Olson to Ozzy. Like we all kind of have that same vision. So it's just like it kind of just like in a silent way monitors itself, which like I said, I think is a diamond in a rough for trying to make a run, because when things don't go well, we don't panic. You take it for what it's worth, trying to learn something from it and then move on.
Yeah, because you obviously had what the coaches were looking for, like great players, a great player but like a great attitude, because I mean you got drafted out of high school. So I feel like in order to be drafted that young, like they got to see something like there's no question like what kind of teammate, talent obviously, but I feel like that doesn't happen a lot, or maybe it does, like where guys get drafted right out of high school.
There's a few every year that do get drafted. It's funny. I actually was more guys were looking at me more as a pitcher.
Really?
Than as a position player. Like two teams
No way.
wanted me, as a position player. It's like the Braves and I still to this day cannot remember who else was like, hey, we like you as a position player, but everybody else wanted me as a pitcher, and I absolutely hated pitching. I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I hated it. So I right before the draft, I actually told my agent now, advisor then, I was like, hey, I'm backing out of the draft. I want to back out of the draft as a pitcher. It's like if I don't get drafted as a position player, I'll go to Mississippi State and I'll take my chance.
No way.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Do you have arm trouble?
That is commitment.
my arm hurt all the time. Yeah. So it was just like, it wasn't fun to me.
Right.
I was not having fun out there. And I know, well, to me in my gut, I was like, this ain't going to last. Like, I'll be working at a desk job in 3 years if I go as a position player, just because like elbow hurt, shoulder hurt all the time.
Yeah.
And I love to hit. So I was like, hey, take a chance.
It worked.
Yeah, it did. So
It worked, for
thankfully.
Outside of being a pitcher, did you care? Like, was it just like, as long as I'm not a pitcher, I'll go do whatever?
Position wise, yeah, no, I didn't care. Actually, I did a couple pre-draft workouts as a catcher because that's what I initially committed to Mississippi State as a catcher. I didn't care. I played I played 4 games in the minor leagues as an outfielder before I made my debut with Atlanta as a left fielder. So like I had never played, so I just wanted to be on the field.
That's
It
awesome.
didn't matter. Which is, I think I tell guys all the time, it's like don't stick to one. Play it all because you don't know what your path is.
Right. And do you think too, like on that same line, like play all the positions? I agree, because they all teach you something different too. But what about like sports too? Because there's so many kids now that's like, I'm so focused on baseball, and that's it. But I grew up playing everything.
Same.
And so I think, but it's the same deal. Like each sport will teach you something different too. So
I think I learned the most from football.
Yeah, toughness.
Toughness, just mental, really like mental toughness. I had a high school football coach that used to wear me out.
Yeah.
That I thought, like I said, but I'm those are the days that I missed the most is Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
Getting to suit up with those guys. That was the best.
Was baseball your favorite?
I definitely loved baseball the most. But I did like football. I played basketball like my 9th grade year, and then just did football and baseball.
The school you were at, was it a baseball school, or like, was it just kind of all around sports? Or
I would definitely say it was. We weren't very good at football.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, we weren't very good at football. We won a state championship in baseball, so I definitely think I had 5 guys in my my high school class go D1.
Holy
so we were
cow.
pretty
Were you guys
solid.
big? Like a big high school?
6A, so we were pretty, we were pretty solid.
We were 1A. I graduated.
So were we.
I graduated with like 60 people.
No, I didn't do that. We had
100 in my
had, like,
class, but only
300.
60 of us graduated.
That's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But we were basketball and baseball, but our football program was terrible.
Yeah.
Probably because none of us played after our sophomore year. We all just focused on basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
So,
That's what.
We were a baseball school. Yeah, we were horrible at football,
yeah.
mediocre at basketball, but baseball always won.
Baseball was it.
But I never played.
We were really like volleyball. Like the girls'
Water
volleyball was
same.
like they won state every year for whatever reason.
Dang, all my girlfriends were always on that volleyball. They're like plastered all over the gym.
Dang.
Like state champion.
What do you think it is about girls volleyball? It's like the poor performing sports always have a great girls volleyball team.
Yeah, I don't know. Like our guys' sports program at my high school was never. Like in 1988, we went to state in basketball, and then in '96 we went in state in football, and then when we were in, it had been like a decade since we went to the state in anything until our class came through, and then it was like we were ranked number 1 in baseball and basketball, but it's the same group of athletes that
Ours is the same. We had. Do you remember Jimmy Gobble? He was a pitcher for Kansas City Royals.
I don't remember.
This is back in the day, like early 2000. But he came through to my high school in the late 90s, and it was.
What was it like playing baseball like when the dinosaurs were here on Earth?
Well, I never played baseball, but you can try that joke again if you
Were
want.
you like scared like they were gonna come in? No, that's funny. But yeah, I've been trying
Aren't
to
you older than me?
I am, yeah. I've been trying to tell Landon that. Like, he wants to play basketball and football and everything, but he's never played any other sport but baseball. But he's 10, but I think he's going to play basketball this year.
Heck yeah.
I want him to play football because he's got unbelievable hands.
You can tell he's a little nervous about it.
Yeah, but I'm like, he's nervous because he's gonna get his clock rocked,
100%. Yeah.
Part of it.
And I'm like, yeah, like it's gonna happen. And he's like, maybe next year, let's do it, because he's not that. Like I've had to really dig to find that switch, because he's just a nice kid,
Harris is the same, man.
And I'm like,
He's
I
the
need
same.
you to find another gear where you can like be mean. You gotta have a little bit of meanness.
Yeah.
Like not.
That's what I tell Maggie. I'm hard on Harris because I'm like, he's too nice. Like he's got too much love in his. I need him to have a chip on his shoulder. Like he's got to have a killer instinct, and he's got it in there.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't like to bring it out.
I think I would rather have a kid that's nice and then let him figure out how to flip that switch as the opposite.
Then just
Because
straight.
my second one is mean. He just likes to inflict pain on anybody.
Yeah, to survive.
Yeah.
Being the second one.
Oh, that's exactly right. It's like Micah growing up behind me. He's like, but yeah. So I don't know. I agree with you on all that. I hope Landon plays.
What do you think about because his son does travel ball. My son just played baseball for the first season this year. And me and my wife, I played college football. She played college soccer. But this is our first time with a kid, like, doing sports. And it was just kind of mind-boggling of, like, the season was 3 months, 4 games a week. And this is for a 5-year-old who, if I'm being honest, was horrible. So it was just hard to watch in general. But, like, we just was like, why is it so serious? It's crazy at this level.
Yeah, no, it's. I feel like it's. My dad actually coached travel ball. Like obviously, when I was growing up, he coached me, and then he's been doing it, ever since like 3 years ago. And he's just like, it's gotten too much for him. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. He's like done it for forever, but he's like, it's just like it's nonstop. I mean, they're playing almost as many games as we are, to a sense, and it's just. I don't know. It's tough because I guess I'm not going through it right now, but I do think there's I don't know. It's a tough answer because it's like you can definitely tell there's like way too much to me going on.
Right.
I think like it's like kids are just gonna get burnt out.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I don't know if there's. I don't know.
I'm just saying because you can tell they're getting burnt out. Like my son finishing a tournament at 9:30 at night on a Sunday.
Yeah,
He's 5 years old.
Yeah.
It's too much.
But then at the same time, you look at the other leagues in the city that don't play as much or practice as much as they do, and there's like this huge
Gap.
gap
Yeah.
of how good our kids are to those kids. So it's like there's obviously a benefit, but like, are they going to burn? Where
where's
does
that
it
happy
end?
medium? Yeah,
When-
I don't know.
How old were you when you started playing travel ball? Because when I grew up, it wasn't early.
Yeah.
Nah, I guess we start kid pitch at 9,
Yeah.
right? I think that's
Yeah.
when I was
Okay. Well, how old are you? You're
26.
So you're 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, like we didn't have, maybe there was, but in our little town, travel ball didn't start till you were like, I mean, we had all stars,
Yeah.
but it was just everybody played rec, and then like when I was like 12 or 13, maybe 12, like Little League World Series type stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody started kind of traveling,
I
but
don't remember playing sports until like 3rd grade. To be
I don't
honest, with
remember
you.
much. The only remember.
I mean,
really
organized
have-
sports though,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even kindergarten and all that. I never.
Yeah.
I
I
played.
think I like rambled in basketball, but that was just. Who
We had
knows?
I think it's triple SA is what
Yeah.
we had.
Yeah,
I don't know if is it still
yeah.
going on.
I mean,
yeah.
that's still the bats and stuff, like
Yeah.
Triple S.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we had. And it was like every weekend this summer. We had Snow and Grove Park, like right there in South Haven. It was like we lived there.
Yeah.
Every summer, all summers.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I grew up. It was just the only memories I have before 10 were hunting. I think. Like I don't even remember. Like I played termite football and mini mites and midgets and
Pee
all
wee
the way
midgets,
through
all
the
way-
high
yeah,
school.
Yeah.
I never touched a basketball in like an organized league until I was a freshman, which was crazy.
That's
And then my
wild.
buddies talked me into coming out, and then that I fell in love with it. It was my favorite.
Basketball was.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love basketball too.
Me too. And Landon is like, he wants to play this fall, and I'm like pumped because I loved baseball and I played every year of my life from T-ball on, and Landon is great at that. But naturally, just like working with him in basketball, his footwork, like he just gets it. Like,
He's just long and lanky
yeah,
too.
he's gonna be built like me, just
Yeah.
like long. But he's like he just got it way quicker than he got baseball, or
Yeah.
he just like like teaching him spin moves and how to feel pressure in the paint. And he's just like, oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah, right.
You know,
That's sick.
spinning off, but it's fun to watch. Kids are fun, man, but it's scary.
It's hard at first because they're so. I mean, I'm speaking from mine. Like he's so bad at baseball. I remember going home, my wife being like, I can't live with this.
You called me.
Dude, I called him and was like,
What's he supposed to look like at 5? And I'm like, dude, he's 5. Just I don't think
I
there's
can
any
remember him having
expectation.
practice and my wife being there with our daughter, and which I'm a psychopath clearly, but I had to walk away from the practice field and look. I was like, told my wife, I was like, I can't watch
You
this
sound
anymore.
like my dad.
I can't watch it anymore. And I literally got in the car and sat there with the door shut and was just like,
Your poor kids out there just learned to walk.
you can see him like looking over at me and he's like,
He's like, where you at?
what are you doing?
Where'd my dad go? No, dude. Like,
But about midway through the season, I stopped taking it so serious. 'Cause I started helping just like manage the kids, and I was like, I'll just let them have fun.
oh yeah, like Jax is 5. He played t-ball this year.
He's freaking good though.
Yeah, because of Landon. Like Landon pushed him. Like Landon don't pull any punches with him. You know, that's one thing about having an older brother.
Right.
Like Micah.
Gotta
That's
grow
why
up
he was so
quick.
mean. Like I'm not gonna go easy on you. I don't care if I got you by 5 years. I'm gonna beat you down until one day I can't.
Do you have siblings?
I got an older sister and a younger brother, and
Yeah.
I'm sure if Zach was sitting here, my younger brother, it'd be like the same conversations.
Yeah.
He had to grow up quick,
Right.
You know, because like I said, that's who you played with.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
It's like, hey, I need you to be on my level at,
Yeah.
at 3 or 4. Like,
Exactly. And like I think like you just progress through all that phase so much quicker because you don't want your big brother to be like just crushing you all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And because Landon, they'll play wiffle ball in the yard. Landon's throwing heat to him, like strike out, you know. And Jackson's like, what?
Yeah.
And then Jax will pitch one, he'll knock it over the trees and just run the score up, you know. And I'm like, Landon, hey man, like maybe take it easy on him a little bit.
Right.
He's like, Landon doesn't understand that. He's like, what? It's like not a chance, not a chance. But yeah, I mean, it's like herding cats at 5. Like
Yeah.
the t-ball thing is hard to watch.
Dude, they're like hanging off the fence
Oh,
inside
yeah.
the dugout, like squirting water over each other. It's like,
Yeah,
whoa,
punching
dude.
each other. It's so funny though.
That's
Like
fun.
I had zero
chasing the ball
expectation.
around.
Yeah, like literally just
Right.
throwing
Oh, yeah.
throwing the ball at each other, throwing gloves at each other, getting stuff out of the trash. It's like,
Like the kids hitting the ball, go then try to field it.
yeah.
Like they hit it and then run after it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
My son's sitting down in the outfield just like Indian style, just being like,
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, most of these kids, I see people like take it so serious. And I mean, even at Landon's age, 10 years old, you know, they're taking, I mean, we're traveling to Kentucky and like it's pretty high level baseball for like kids. But I mean, some of these kids, like all these kids, they ain't hit puberty yet. Like who knows what they're going to be like really,
Yeah,
you know, like
for sure.
strength, power. Like
That's what I was telling
my
you.
kid's not throwing hard enough. I'm like, he's 9.
I listened to that David Pollock podcast. I was telling you that, where he was like, yeah, we're not going to focus on this till you like get to high school. Pretty much he was like, we're going to do our family thing. We're not going to take it serious until you get to a serious level.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was like my shift in perspective. Like, yeah, why am I like, he's 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just develop.
He might want to be in
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's anything like his dad, he will be. Like Glee or
Excuse me?
something. Like Glee. Maybe he'll be like a singer. No, I think it's important. Like I feel like our dad was not focused so much in archery. He was very like he was focused on results, like, but it was more focused on discipline than it was like the outcome. It was just like we're gonna put the work in,
Yeah.
and like he taught us at a very young age, like there's no like you're gonna sacrifice when your friends are if you want to do this and you want me to drag you around the country and shoot these tournaments or whatever, then you're gonna put the work in and you're gonna sacrifice when your buddies are out goofing off. Like, you know, there wasn't a lot of being a kid, I think, growing up, but it was a different generation that my dad and probably your dad was raised in too. So
Your dad was your coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it you that was telling me you said you still talk to your dad during the games? Like,
Oh, after every game,
Yeah.
we talk just like
yeah,
about the game, at bats, and everything. And like you said, kind of what you just said. It's like he was the same way. As like when it was time to kind of get serious about it, it was like summer trips to the lake with the buddies. Like that wasn't happening.
Mhm.
Vacations never happened. It was
Yeah.
just like, hey, we're gonna, like you said, if I'm gonna drag you around to all these
Yeah.
things, we're gonna get serious about it. And you know, fortunate enough, it I think in the long run, it made a world of a difference for me.
For sure.
Once like I said, once I got to that point where I was like, I knew I was gonna get serious.
Was there a switch where, like, I guess you or your dad was like, no, you're elevated above what the rest of your, competition is?
Like as far as
Like when you knew you were good.
I think it was. So I committed to Mississippi State my sophomore year of high school. I think it was like that freshman because I called for the high school team my freshman year, and I think that was kind of when I really knew that I had a chance.
Right.
Pro ball wasn't even in my mind; it was more college at that point. I think that's kind of when I knew, I was going to have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think. Before that, really, it's because there's so many good players that just don't make it too. It's hard to say like when somebody would be like,
I knew in 6th grade, and then the dream was over by 11th.
6th grade, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the majors for sure.
For sure.
For sure, going to the majors. No.
Shoot, I still think I'm like, I might be out of this game in no time. It's just part, like I said, that you just don't ever know.
Yeah.
And how old are you?
26.
Man.
Yeah.
But you just have that thought in the back of your mind, like if.
Well, there's like guys are getting drafted every year.
Yeah.
There's a new crop every year that's coming after your job, and it's like you got to perform, or it's
for sure
it's not gonna it's not gonna happen.
Right.
And I think there's a saying that's like it's easy. It's not easy, but it's easy to get to the big leagues. It's tough staying in the big leagues, and I think that's really really true when it comes to that, and really just like the mindset of being able to focus every day and try to get a couple.
So knowing that, how much emphasis do you put on performance and nutrition? Like obviously with these super long seasons, that was something we were talking about, of just like workouts and nutrition. How important?
I think it's huge. It's gotten as I've gotten older, I think it's it's gotten even more important. I used to be able to just eat whatever and lose weight. Now I've kind of like had to figure out like, hey, I gotta, especially during the off season when I'm not doing as much, I gotta watch it. And during season, I can really eat whatever. But it's been huge. Funny little stat for you. So they've banned the shift this year in baseball. And last year in the shift alone, from third, from when we'd shift, I would go from third base to shallow right field. And just in that alone, I ran 45 miles just in the shift alone. Back and
you
forth.
serious?
Yeah.
Good.
And that's like
Cam Haines, who?
Yeah. 45 miles. Like when they told me that, I thought they were like joking because it was like,
God,
there's no way. But yeah, apparently I did that. So like this year, it's like that's cut out. So it's like those 45 miles.
Have you noticed a difference?
I'm noticing like how great I feel on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like my legs feel good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's definitely been a huge factor of just like now that we're getting into August, it's kind of it's getting hot. I'm not running around as much because, like you said, like that right there. Like I'm like it's not just like a jog or anything. It's like a sprint because like our pitchers are like trying to stay in rhythm. You're trying to keep them in rhythm and be, you don't want them waiting on you. So it was like I would like sprint over there, and then it's like 2 pitches later I'm sprinting back.
Yeah.
Like sitting over at third base. I'm like, I don't know if this is for me. It's they banned it now, so I'm kind of.
What's you got to stay on the side? There have to be 2 on each side of
Two
second,
on each,
right?
yeah. Two.
And you can't be in the outfield, right?
No, you can't be not a foot in the grass.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's brought back like the athleticism of like positions, which
Yeah.
I kind of like.
Do you guys is it on you to have your own nutrition and like workouts, or does the team provide all that for you?
So
guys?
the team does provide that. So they actually have a nutritionist on staff, which like does all our meals, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. They do a really good job, and then we have strength guys that I try to get in. So basically, my routine is like every second day of the series, I get some sort of lift in. So it's normally about 3 to 4 times a week as I'm doing something. Whether it's one day it's actual weights, and then the second lift is some sort of like med ball, like just something to kind of get the body going.
Right. Huh. Did you lift in high school pretty seriously?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It was like, well, that's kind of go back to the football coach. Is
Yeah.
like he was crazy, and it was like squat, power clean, bench,
Yeah.
back to back to back, same day. It's like,
Well, dude,
this
we
is
were watching
great for our
videos of
body.
you in high school, and we both. I was
I
like,
was
God,
fat.
he's a
too.
big boy.
Yeah, I was fat.
Just strong, dude. Freaking.
But like I said, it was, yeah, for sure lifting a ton of weights in high school. Like I said, our high school football coach made us,
Yeah.
early workouts for before school and everything.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about like not going like with your buddies to the lake and sacrificing all that. I remember being a kid and just being like devastated too.
So mad.
So mad, like you feel like you're missing out on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, it was cool because like Dad had this, like he could see it, and he pushed me hard. Like I feel like some kids, like you got to know your kid too.
Yeah.
I feel like every kid's so different. Like you push some kids that hard, they're just gonna stop. They don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't quit, and it was like, but now like looking back, I'm like so thankful for that because like those struggles, and like we didn't grow up with money. Really, I mean, we never went hungry or anything like that. My dad was in construction, so but like they sacrificed a lot. And as a kid, you don't really realize, I'm not the only one sacrificing here. Like there's all their spare time is going into this. They see potential somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And I remember standing there watching Randy Ulmer and Jeff Hopkins, all them shoot, and Dad looking down, and he's like, one day you'll stand right there and beat them. And I was like, as a kid, you're like, what, But I remember all those sacrifices and struggles and things, like that's kind of what sparked that dream for me too. And that's one of my biggest fears as a parent. And I don't know if you feel that way too, but it's like we have the ability, and I don't know what your childhood looked like. I have the ability to like give my kids a different life than what I grew up with. And it's like, I was out throwing rocks and hitting them with a bat and, just didn't have, and like they got batting cages in their backyard but it's like, man, like where do I draw the line? Because I feel like if a kid doesn't have some struggles or like, how do we spark that dream? As a parent, how do you, because I see so many, and we're not rich by any means. I'm just saying it's a different look than what I grew up with. All I did was dream as a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like all I did was sit and think about, oh man, one day I'm going to do this and I want to do this. But I feel like some kids that have everything handed to them, it's like they never have to dream about anything. And so I think they lose that ability to do that. And that's my biggest fear as a parent. It's like, I want to give my kids a great life, but how do I how do I keep them just like let them struggle enough to still dream and know how to dream, right?
The accessibility to stuff is just so much. Like you're talking about hitting, rocks with a bat or something. My basketball goal at the house, my dad had built for us, and it was 10 foot at one section where it was flat, but then the rest of the court was a slope. So by the time I got to the end of the court, it was like 10-9 or something.
Yeah.
But to me, it was the coolest thing ever. And I literally went out there every single day in practice.
Yeah.
And would do whatever. But now it's like my son, it's like, well, he's got to have this, he's got to have that. We got to do this. And he's in baseball season. We got to buy all these things and bring it to the house. And it's just a different life.
Totally, like what you said is like picture perfect of like kind of what I have that fear too. Cause like you said, I grew up and didn't have a whole lot. Like you said, didn't starve, but it was, I was borrowing baseball gloves from guys and using it during season. And when we went on the road trip, it was like, we were, it was just like, hey, we'll eat this. And then, that'd be about it. And luckily enough, I had, my grandparents and stuff that helped also. But it is, like I said, it's like that fear of like, how to, cause I think it did spark me. It was like, hey, I want to, ultimate goal for one of my biggest goals in my baseball, career was, setting my parents up for, retirement and not, have them to have to worry anything. Cause like I said, to see what they went through to provide for me and give me all that, that was kind of like the coolest thing now looking back, and one of the most things I appreciate the most.
Yeah. And I think it is possible. I don't think, cause I see guys, I mean, there's a kid, just as an example, Lincoln Tapp in the hunting industry, young kid that his family is just I mean, they got planes and, very well-off family, but like
He's
talking
such
to
a
this
good
kid,
kid,
I mean,
though.
he's just respectful and just dreams and just chases it and grinds. And I'm just like, man, like they did it right, but like, I feel like just handing your kid everything he wants is like, that can just be a nightmare, and so it's like, I mean, that's a
keep 'em
scary
humble?
thing, right? Yeah, keep them humble and keep them hungry. Like just make them see it too, Like, and that's what I want for a kid. Like, there's no handbook on being a parent, And so it's like, gosh, my biggest fear one day is like look back and be like, man, I totally messed that up somehow,
Yeah.
Do you think you're parenting like your dad parented you?
I see my dad in myself sometimes for sure. I'm not as and I think it's just kind of generational thing. Like his dad was really rough, like bootlegged, White Lightning and, just in the war and just a rough guy. And then dad was not like that, but dad was it was like tough love, hard discipline, but he always wanted me to know he told me he loved me all the time. And like, I mean, it wasn't like I had a bad childhood. I had a great childhood, but it was like very strict, a very disciplined environment in my house, and like we were very like faith oriented, church every Sunday, every Wednesday, and it was just like very structured. There was not a lot of playing around in my house, as growing up.
I can remember my dad fussing at me and my mom being like, it's not playtime.
Yeah.
And it's like, not for you, but it is for us, buddy.
Yeah, my dad still, I think, has trouble having fun.
Yeah, same.
Because he works so much. Like, he just doesn't... Like, we fished, and, like, where we had fun together was hunting. And that was, like, mine and my dad's, like, time to have fun. And, like, all of us, really. Like, that's the only time I've seen, like, my dad really let loose and just, like, have a great time.
Yeah.
But still, to this day, I took him on an elk hunt, and, like, he killed an elk, and, like, as soon as the fun's over, he's like, man, I need to be working. It's like he can't just like, I'm like, Dad, just relax, I just love to see him be able to just relax. But I think he was had to grind so hard and the construction to provide for his family. It just is programmed in to like feel like he's,
Go.
feel like he's got to go work, even though all his kids are moved out now, it's just him and mom, he's still got that, I'd love to be there. I'm working,
It is funny. The older I get, my wife always, every time we leave the house, like we'll go up see my parents and leave. My wife's like, you are your father.
Yeah.
And it's just like the older I get, the more I leave, and I'm like,
I think it's
I am.
the look that I give that I'm like, oh my God, it's my dad. Like, because I remember the look. Like, I could be in an archery tournament, and Dad was never that way around with sports because he didn't really play a lot of sports. So he was just there for us in sports. But in archery, it was like that was our thing, and like that was what we took serious. Like this is not playtime. We're not here for second place. Like
you look over and you're just getting that like.
Oh, he had his arms crossed, and if I missed a shot, it was this. And I can feel myself on first base, like coaching Landon's travel games, and like he'll go down looking or something, and he's walking the dugout, and I'm just like, terrible decision, and I'm like, oh my God, just snap out of it, because I remember that look and like that feeling inside as a kid, like, oh, I just totally let my dad down bad. And so I'm trying to, like with Landon, I'm like, hey man, like you see me look like frustrated. I was like, I just want you to know I'm not mad at you. I'm not frustrated at you. I'm like with you. Like I feel it for you. Like I don't want you to strike out. And like you're a smart kid. And like I try to tell him like I'm never gonna be mad at you for striking out. I said let's make good decisions. Right? Like let's not get behind in the count if we don't have to. Let's not go down looking on on a fastball, down the middle. Like let's make good decisions. If you And like he's like, yeah, okay, because I can tell like he gets tears in his eyes because I'm over there just like, God,
because you remember as a kid, you're like, he hates me. How are we gonna recover from this?
Yeah,
we're never gonna financially recover from this.
Can't wait to get in the car after the game.
Oh my,
silence and just
the worst. The car rides.
Oh yeah, I remember them totally.
I think I seen something the other day. I was listening. It might have been a podcast you were on. I was listening to, but it was talking about. They did a study and asked the kids the worst part of baseball, and they said it was the car rides home.
Oh, I'm sure.
The worst part of any sport.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you have a bad game. I can remember just being like,
I'm still to this day. I'm like, my dad's not even in the car, but I'm like, I know I got to call him. I'm like dreading this. I'm like,
one of the best players in the MLB.
I'm not kidding you. Yeah, I'm like, I just don't really want to talk baseball right now.
Yeah, same.
It's like,
Same.
but you know, it's like that's our clique. That's
Yeah.
what we do, and you know, it's fun just getting to talk to him because, you know, he's like, well, you know, the funny, I always mess with him. I'm like, because you know, you're not trying to strike out, you're not trying to take a fastball down the middle, you're not trying to
Right, yeah.
make that error, and he's always like, you know, why'd you swing at that? I'm like, Dad, I'm just, you know, I'm not sure why. He's like, well, I just, you know, just don't do it. I'm like, okay, I won't. I'll try not to. Like, and that's so funny because we, you know,
That's
like
awesome.
I said, it's literally like the same, because like we can have the same conversation 7 days a week about the same thing, and it's like that's still the same conversations
Yeah.
that we have, you know, 10, 12 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
And it's like, I think it's so funny. I don't think it'll ever change. And I didn't really understand it until I was a dad, like watching my kid like start to play sports and like become good and see his potential. And it's like, it's not even about me. Cause I used to be like, why is my dad so stressed about this?
Yeah.
You know, it's that I'm stressed. I want him to have a, like,
100%.
I want
Yeah.
it for him.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but it's like, there's a balance there for sure. And still to this day, like, my dad kind of flipped around, like when I was 18, 19 and started doing it as a job and started winning and like proved myself like that I was good enough at the top of the shooting game. It was like he never really, like he'll still say little things like, you know, what do you think, like what were you looking at on that one, or what were you seeing, you know, or if I make a stupid decision in a shoot off or something, or like, cause I'm very risky and like I'm gonna go for it. Like shoot at 14s, whatever. And he's like, man, I just feel like it could have been different if you would have played that little safer and maybe smarter, you know? And I'm like, yeah, probably, but that's about it. You know, where as a kid, it was like, this is going to be about a week-long lesson coming up, you know, when I get home. Like practice is going to change. Like we're going to strategize different. But now, like I'm thinking, oh, he's over it. Like he's just mellowed out. And then I talked to my mom. She's like, no, like, he's punching a wall. He's he's like still very invested in how this is going, you know. So Dad's not gonna like that at all that I just said that, but because he's like, oh no, you know. But he's just
he's
he
so
cares,
soft. Yeah.
you know. He cares, but he's definitely mellowed out. I try to take a lot of what my dad did with my kids too, because a lot of it I'm really thankful for, like the discipline and the work ethic. But I remember how some things felt as a kid too, that I don't think he meant for them to feel that way, like the look. And I try to explain it a little bit to my kids and let them understand I'm with you. Like this is like I'm here for you and with you. It's not about me being mad at you or anything like that.
Well, then also there's a lot of times I've learned as a parent too, like thinking back situations with my dad and me having situations with my son now, is like the situation was never that big.
Yeah.
You know, in my head I was like, oh my God, I've just embarrassed the family. I can't be part of this anymore. And but it was really like
Yeah.
now I'll get mad at my son, and that I'll get mad at myself. I mean, and my son thinks I'm mad at him.
Yeah.
Because like I'll say something the wrong way or because I know, like you said, there comes a point when they just start shutting off.
Yeah.
And I know that like I've pushed that, and I'm sitting there literally aggravated at myself, and he thinks I'm mad at him.
Right.
And it just like keeps getting worse to where like a lot of times it's never really that big a deal. Me and my wife will laugh all the time, like we'll fuss at our kids or something, and the second they turn around, we're like laughing with each other, like, can
Right.
you believe he just said that?
Yeah.
And it's like back in the day when I was a kid, I would walk to my room being like, I'm never gonna eat again.
Yeah. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, that's the
that
worst.
feeling.
I'd rather you be mad. You know, I'd rather you be mad. I don't want to disappoint you, you know. With like I see it too now, like Landon's starting to be hard on himself. And now I'm like having to like be the opposite. Like where I'm like I feel like once that
It's like, bro, chill
changes-
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that kind of changed with my dad too. Once he saw me like take it serious and like, okay, he kind of backed off a little bit too. But it was I think he just wanted me to see the vision too. And then once you see that, I think as a parent you can kind of back away. And once you've instilled that discipline, and obviously Landon's only 10 and he may quit baseball in 2 years and be, doing something completely different. But it's not even about that. And I told him, I said, when we put this batting cage in, I said, look, I don't want you to think I have any plans for you or
Yeah.
Like, this is literally a place for us to spend time. And like, if this is what you love, I just want you to learn the value of like putting in work, you know? And so that's really all I want to instill in any of my kids. It's not about making it somewhere or anything like that. I just want them to understand, like, hey, like you have to, if you have a dream, you have to sacrifice for it, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
But
What do you think about work-life balance? Because I know you travel a lot. We all travel. Everybody in the room travels a ton.
mm-hmm.
So that's something you and I talk a lot that I think we both struggle with, or all three of us struggle
like with family yeah.
but also we were talking yesterday, going out and doing your thing and grinding. Because I think it's important for my kids to see me like going to do something and being good at it and trying hard. But we were curious, like with you traveling so much, like is there a such thing as work-life balance to get to a certain level?
I don't. I definitely think you have to have, and I'm sure you guys have that one. It's just like you have to have that certain partner that just like is there for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, my wife Anna has made, so many sacrifices of just, she literally picked up from Mississippi, moved to Atlanta, and was just like, hey, let me go live my dream. And I think that's really the balance for me, is just like, and I have to, because I love to hunt in the off season. So it's like I have to, kind of make smart decisions on when I travel or how much I travel in the off season. So I think it's just like that communication that, we have, I think we have pretty good, is just, not letting it, I know for me, it's like I hate confrontation. So like when it comes to like, hey, I'm gonna go hunting, and then, it's like, you could tell that she doesn't, really want me to. And then it's like, then we got, we start building that tension, and I don't want to talk about it. And then we just kind of like go, it's just kind of going for it. From like that side. So it's like, that's really like been the biggest balance.
Extracurricular.
The extra stuff, for me is like what's been the struggle. Cause like I said, she gets the baseball stuff. Like there's nothing like it's it's a sport. I play a game, but it ultimately at the end of the day, it's a job. And it provides for us. So she gets that. I think it's like you said, it's that extracurricular because I think the biggest reason why I love to hunt is just like to decompress, like get in the woods and like, just kind of like chill.
Yeah.
So I think that's like been the biggest, adjustment that we've had to make.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you answered it that way, because I don't, to be at your level at something and to be truly great, I don't know that there's a good balance. Like you have to be obsessed with something, but I think it's impossible to almost do that. I think once you have a family, to like grind enough to be there. But like, I think you have to do that at a young age to get to that level, and then like the maintaining that grind, then you could bring a family into that, kind of like what you did and what I did.
Having the right partner, spouse,
100%.
Yeah.
Like Maggie never says anything about me being gone. She just kind of takes over and does the thing with the kids, and I think helps them realize like, no, he's got to go for a reason. Because now my son's getting old enough to where literally coming up here, he's like, I don't want you to go, and I'm like, but I gotta go make money. He's like, I got money. I don't need things, and I'm like.
That's tough.
I wish you had money. I would just stay here. But, when I'm gone, my wife tells me what I'm going on. We FaceTime, see each other all the time, and do all that.
I think FaceTime has been a huge thing.
For sure.
Yeah. Like being able, because I know for me, Eason, he's now like able to kind of understand what FaceTime is. Like he obviously can't talk or anything, but it's like, when I get on there and it's like we have our couple things that we say and he gets excited, and it's like, that's, that kind of makes my day. Heck for sure. So it's like, like I said, that's FaceTime's been huge for being on the road.
No doubt. I remember like, cause when they're a baby, like real young, like when Lana was born, I was like, this isn't too bad. But then once they start missing you and like crying when you walk out the door,
you got to sneak out.
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst, man. Last year on a hunt, like me and Landon and Jack's, like Landon's 10, Jack's 5. It's like, we're best buds, and it's like, I've had to really explain to him why I have to leave, because every time it's like, why do you got to go again? It's like, I just don't want you to leave. And like Landon will wait up and cry. And like last year I was going on a hunt somewhere, and like we like had been home for like 2 weeks, and we just been spending every minute together. And then I'm packing, I can tell he's just like, gosh. And then he like tried to hold it together, and like I hug him, and I'm like, I'll be back in a week, and I'm driving down the driveway and just happen to look at my rear view, and he's running down the road crying, chasing the truck. And I'm like, slam on the brakes. And like, we're remodeling the house. So George, the construction guy, is up there, one of our buddies, but he watches me run back, and Landon jumps in my arms, and like he's crying. I'm just holding him, and George is crying, and Samantha's crying. I mean, it's just like, it's a really tough thing, And like, Samantha's been amazing because she had dreams too.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we had kids and my career started to kind of take off, she just totally was like this, like, I understand. Like, I'm going to be a mom, and I'm going to be here, and I'm going to hold everything down while you do your thing,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we have tough conversations still, about it, because I am crazy. I'm just like, because there's no off season for me, really.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it tough too, is like I go straight from tournament season into hunting season. And while I love hunting more than anything, and would try to do as much of it as I could, it is my job too. So it's like, I don't know. I haven't figured that balance out very good, but if it wasn't for Samantha, I'd be like lost.
Yeah.
Like if she gave me a hard time about it every time I left, it'd be like, I don't know, it would be tough.
Be a nightmare.
Yeah. So
Back to the extracurriculars, and like you hunted. How did you get in? Like, have you always hunted?
Yeah, my dad, like growing up, my dad lived in Arkansas, so like duck hunting was his. Like
Okay.
he used to, I duck hunt a little bit in the off season, but he's like, oh, duck hunting and what it used to be. He's like, I used to wake up every morning, I'd kill me a limit of mallards, and I'd go to school. And I'm like, that's nice. I wish I could do that.
Right.
But the deer hunting, I think my Uncle Heath really introduced me into that, especially bow hunting.
okay.
So I'd like grow up, he lived in Winona, Mississippi, which is like an hour from my house. And once I kind of like started like understanding bow hunting and hunting really is like, that's all they did. So it's like every weekend I was like, Mom, can I go stay with my Uncle Heath? Can I go stay with my Uncle Heath? So he really introduced me to like the true love of like archery and chasing whitetails and everything, and I absolutely love to do it, and that's kind of where it came from, and I actually wanted to ask you a question, is like, because I have the worst like target panicking, like I'm ever. And it's funny, it's like my uncle is like,
Welcome to the party.
yeah, like I'm the worst. I call myself slap shooter because it's like it's bad. And like my uncle and I joke about it, growing up, because obviously he has two sons, and when he would do it, when we would shoot like his sons, he would, like, I'm not kidding, smack them over the head with an arrow, like whenever they were, and like he like obviously didn't do that to me because I'm not his son, but it's like, looking back, I'm like, dang, if you just smacked me a couple times over the head,
right.
I wouldn't be like dealing with this.
Yeah. That makes it not fun. It makes it hard because I've been through it. Like target panic, it's the worst.
I've gotten like, I have my like little thing that I do that like gets me through it, but it's like, as far as like, because I like creep over and I just touch it.
Yeah.
It's like,
touch it
off.
off.
I've gotten, and like I said, I can shoot with it, but it's like, as soon as I like try to like put it on there, it's like, it's not happening.
The only thing that helped me was because I had the same thing. I had to quit shooting for months.
Right.
Because I was calling Andy, because it got to where I literally couldn't shoot. I mean, I was just like sending stuff off. I'd hit the boat trailer, hit the fence. I was just like letting it go. So I was like, this is not for me anymore. I'm going to kill somebody. And but then I got a back tension release.
Yeah.
And that's fixed it. Like,
It's that movement. It just kind of eases your mind, because your body, like Joel Turner. Have you ever heard of Joel Turner?
I have, yeah.
So he was the first person to really explain it to me where I understood. I always knew how to fix it, but I never understood why it was fixing it. And it was like it's just your mind hates surprises. And so if you're aiming and just squeezing, your body knows like
it's about to go off.
And it's like that. It's like, I don't want to be surprised with this explosion of the bow going off. And so you just like, if you time it, you're like, I know when it's going off, and it's not a surprise anymore. And so that's why with a hinge, you have that movement. So you're constantly moving it. And it's like, and like I did a seminar years ago with Nathan Brooks, and he explained it like, if you're standing on top of a roof and you got to get to to the ground, and there's no stairs. With a trigger release or a button release, it's just a hard like stop. You just have to decide to jump at some point, you know. But with a hinge that has that constant movement, it's like a slide to the bottom. It's just way easier for you to like not have to be like now, you know. You're just like, oh, get on the slide and go down. So I think a hinge is a great tool in like to train with. I don't know if you ever shot a back tension. Or...
I haven't. Like you said, if I had a trailer or a boat trailer, I'd probably be playing.
Shooting it,
luckily, I have wood, so like my neighbor's probably got a couple arrows in his tree.
I literally had the neighbor mow his yard and then drive down on his lawnmower and was like, I think this is yours. And then was like, I'd appreciate it if you'd stop shooting towards the house.
Love that.
I was like, I'd appreciate it if you'd shut up.
It's not mine.
You don't know what I was like, my dog carried that up there. He lives like 3 acres back, and it's like, no, it did. My dog's never been up there.
Yeah, shoot.
Anyway.
I bet within a day, like if we just spent some time like doing some drills, you would.
Did you bring a bow?
No.
Yeah.
What's your draw length?
29.
Yeah. We'd need one day we'd need to just spend a day.
I'm down for it.
Yeah.
I'd love to fix it.
We'd fix it. Again, I'll fly. I'm going to fly Joel in anyway. I'm going to talk to him, try to get him on podcast. It'd be cool to do like just an entire, video on it too.
Yeah.
Because I think 99% of bow hunters
100.
have it, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them are taught that way. Just put the pin on it and touch the trigger.
Yeah. That's kind of how I grew up.
Yeah.
It's like it was more of like self-taught.
Right.
And that's what just kind of felt good.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but everybody, and honestly, guys I compete against that still do it are incredible at it, but they control it, which is wild to me. I don't have that mind. Like, you have to have a certain type of personality, I think, to be able to know you're going to punch a release, draw it back, and be that precise with it. And just, but I think it's the problem with it is it's the most accurate way to shoot if you can control your mind.
Did you ever struggle with it?
Oh, yeah. I've struggled with it. I won professional events struggling with target panning, but I hated the way it was not fun. Like, I remember, so I won my first professional event when I was 18, and I was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And then I got crushed at the next one, and then went to Augusta and won that with target panic punching, like in the finals. And I always had situational target panic. When I was a kid, I had it in spouts where it was just practice, tournaments, I had it. But as a professional, I've had it situationally where once that really got intense and it was like down to the end and I felt the nerves and my pen wouldn't sit still, and then I would be like, boom, and I'm like, no, it's back, and so we were talking about this past weekend. Paige Pierce was making fun of me again because we were in Vegas several years ago, and I struggle with it there quite a bit because it's like the high pressure, like can't miss. Like if you miss, you're out. Like, and you shoot for days. And it's like at the end of 3 days, whoever hasn't missed, they take you go to the finals and shoot off like 120 grand. And so it was like, it's a very gut wrenching like atmosphere. Like people are throwing up in trash cans and stuff, And so like it was my 90th arrow, the last arrow to make it in, and I haven't missed. And I am like inside is like,
turning.
It's screaming, And Joel Turner explains it like you have to learn how to walk slowly through a house that's on fire, because that's really in your mind. That's kind of like, I got to run through this and hurry it up. And so I'm like 90th arrow. I got this light thumb button. I can feel my hands starting to quiver, and I'm like staring at the center. Like if I got to hit it. And like I started kicking my feet because I can feel target panic like crawling up on me. Like that's how real it was. And I'm like kicking like each foot, like I'm shaking something off. Then I just pull back and poof, just stuffed it. And I'm like, oh, thank God, walk off. And I didn't realize there was like 100 people that were just watching me because I was like one of the few on that line that were still clean. And afterwards they were like, what were you doing? Like you were kicking your feet. I said, I was beating those demons down, dude. They were trying to crawl up my leg. And I was like, not today, Satan. Like, no way, dude. I mean, it was like, that's how real target panic is. Like it will get you. And once it's on you, like it takes some time to beat it.
Do you get like that with baseball and swinging?
Every now and then, yeah. Every now and then, like you said, kind of like those big moments. Like it's like, because I have like a little sway in my swing. It's like I can feel it in my like left leg. It's like when I start to sway, that little leg is kind
Just
of
tremble.
tap a little bit, and I'm like, all right, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's the big moments. It's like I said, it's whenever it's that self, story that you're building, in that moment.
Yeah.
And it's like that's where I've actually talked with a guy that's like, how do you create those stories to like your perspective versus like what everyone else is like trying to build. And I've tried to like, coordinate that with, shooting a little bit. It's like just trying to build a different story to where it kind of calms those nerves.
How do like walk us through that? I guess like we talk about building that story.
So it's like, like you got, like you said, it's bottom of the ninth, 3-2, bases loaded. It's like whatever kid dreams about. It's like you got 60,000 fans like going nuts. It's like that whole story is like just building like just straight adrenaline nerves. But it's like how do you take those nerves and that energy and create it to a story that's like, for me, it's like, okay, it's like the preparation I've built, that I've done, the hard work that I've done in the cage. It's like I've tried to focus it on that.
I deserve to be standing here.
Yeah, right. It's like I was, I've put in, endless hours to now. It's like now that energy kind of shifts, and it's like now I kind of calm myself down, focus. That's kind of like that story that I'm trying to paint.
Yeah.
That's interesting for sure. I love that. Like, cause this podcast name is Maniml Mindset Podcast, and this quick backstory. Like, I got the nickname Maniml. I don't call myself that at all, but it's the mind.
Yes, he does.
No, I do not. I would never say that. But I think the mindset, like the way you attack big moments, is really the whole premise on this whole thing. And so, like, I'm very interested in that because it's very similar to like I think any kind of sport or competition, because people get crushed by those moments.
Right.
Like sometimes career ending.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Like they see that failure and they can never see anything else. And so to me, it's very important to focus on what I want to happen rather than like what could happen.
Yeah.
And that's where I find myself when I'm struggling in big moments like that. It's like if I start focusing on what could go wrong here or what people are thinking or anything, like it's never good. So I'm curious to know if it's similar.
Oh, it's 100% similar.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you said, it's the adrenaline, the moments that you create. It's, and I think that's why back to the target pan, I get so frustrated with it. It's like, cause it is like in the box. It's like, it's that same mindset. It's just like, how do I, essentially beat it to where it puts you in a place that's calm, relaxed. Cause that's like I said, when you're at your best, when, when you are calm, relaxed, when you get tense and everything, swing breaks it down.
Right.
I'm sure like mechanics of, shooting a bow, they break down.
Yeah.
So it's like that constant battle and, when I take for instance, it's like guys in scoring position. It's like when I do struggle with that, it's normally, like you said, you're like, all right, if I don't get this in, I let my teammates down. I let my coaches down, I let my fans down.
Yeah.
Versus it's like when things are going well, it's like you're in a sense of a flow of state of like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling sexy. I'm better than this picture. That kind of sense. So it's kind of cool to relate to going back and forth.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just, I think it's like that mindset is so important too. And because I watch guys on my end, and I'm sure it's the same in every sport, but they have the ability, like you're as good as anybody that lives physically to stand there and shoot arrows. But in big moments, they just go away.
Yeah.
It's like they can't put it together, the steps to just let themselves be good. Yeah. Because all they can focus on is what not to do. And it's kind of like that skiing analogy. If you're skiing down a mountain, like don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree, boom, you hit the tree, right?
Yeah.
So you got to like focus on where you want to go instead of like what not to do. Like, don't strike out, don't
strike out. And next thing you know, you punched out 3 times.
That's what we were
Been
talking
there.
Yeah. Because I mean, obviously you don't want to strike out.
No.
But it's like almost like you have to train your mind to focus. Like, so now for me, I really struggle with this early on. not so much in the 3D world because it's so much strategy, but like in the spot world where there's nothing to think about. You just stand there and shoot a target. So when there's nothing for my mind to grasp, it automatically goes to like, don't screw this up. I mean, it's literally like I can hear the voice, like everybody's watching. It's like you're shaking, like, ooh, look at your hand shaking, and it's like, shut up, And so like now I've learned, like, as soon as I start to feel that, I instantly go into like that.
That's what you said on podcast one, where it's like you only think about, you're here for one reason.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that. Like I was saying, do you think people elevate because of the pressure? Like everybody's looking at me, I've got to do this thing. Or do you think that crumbles them? You said, I think that crushes them to where my mindset's, I'm here for one reason.
Yeah.
This is what I've got to do. This is what success looks like. Just do it.
Yeah. I think if you can learn to embrace that feeling, like that's miserable, like it's a miserable feeling of pressure. If you can learn to be like, yeah, like this is what I've been working for, and just that attitude of almost like, I'm about to crush this, even if you don't, like, believing that is like, not just saying it, but actually believing it is the really hard part.
Right.
But like, I've just seen it happen to so many people, and there's so like few people that whenever like those moments get big, that actually perform better. But some guys actually like dig in and do better.
Yeah.
The higher the stakes. And like, I'm so like, and you're one of those guys, I feel like, that just have that right mentality that come in those big moments and come through. And in my game, there's like very few that, like, as the pressure gets higher, they get better. And unfortunately, I'm getting beat by one right now, like pretty regularly, Dan McCarthy. Like, it's just frustrating, but it's impressive.
Yeah.
Like this past weekend, I hit 4 out of 5 in the finals, and he beats me. It's like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do here. Like, I'm doing everything that ever worked before, but
right.
I think the mental side of sports is very cool to me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I try to work on with Landon a lot too. It's like, not the results. Let's just have a great mental approach to this, because I've just seen it help me so many times. And people are like, how'd you hit that? And I'm like, I wished it in there. Like, literally. I have no idea.
Right.
I don't know how. It
just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wished it so hard that it found where it was supposed to go, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, God has just had such a big hand in my life too, just looking back, and like having that to always lean on, like the faith side of it has always helped me too, mentally.
No doubt.
It's just like, I'm going to do everything I can, but at the end of the day, this is not in my hands anyway, right?
No.
So, and I'm curious, I don't know, we've never talked about faith or anything.
No, I'm the same way. It's like, kind of in the box too. It's like, hey, God, I'm fighting myself right now. It's
Right.
like, the outcome. It's like whatever happens.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful to be in this moment.
Yeah.
More or less. So it's, he does, I think he does wonders, without us even knowing. And it's, it definitely is a place that I try to go to when, good times and obviously the bad times.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's like, it's hard because I'm the type of person that wants to take control of every situation. Like, I can do the work. I can, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to dig in. But like, he has so many times like reined me in my life, looking back, and like made me realize like he's the one that's like I have to lean on him, know, because there's tournaments that I'm going to win it. Like this past weekend, I'm shooting great. I'm like feeling it, and like just ain't meant to be. Right. And then there's times where I'm like, God, I don't got it. Whatever it is, I ain't got it. My dad will call and he's like, so how you feeling? Like before I go into the final day, and I'm like, Dad, don't get your hopes up. Like, I'm not feeling it. I'm texting Samantha, like, don't even watch the finals. Like, I suck today. Like, I just don't have it. And my dad will be like before my grandma died, he would be like, I'm going to call Mama. And she's going to be praying, and it's just like, so I got this whole, like, I know, like this, and there's so many times I've been in, like, I could tear up just thinking about it, because it's like, I didn't do it, and I'm out there shooting, and like all of a sudden it just starts clicking at the perfect time, and, I hit the last 6 and win, and Samantha's like, what were you talking about? I'm like, like nobody knows.
I didn't do it.
Yeah. Like nobody knows like what I knew inside, And so that's been just a huge part that I finally realized, like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Well, in the grand scheme of things, too, everything we do is so micro compared to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like what
It's not that big a
kill
deal.
a big deer, hit a home run,
Right.
win a tournament. It's like nothing really matters once it's all said and done, win or lose. Like that's the only thing. He's the only thing that really matters.
Right, yeah.
So it's like when you look at that perspective, it's like,
Gives you a peace of mind.
yeah, all this other stuff is like whatever.
Definitely.
Whatever happens, happens. All these people like me, hate me.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I can't imagine standing in a big moment like that and not having faith to like lean on, like when things start to, spiral.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, you're going to have to help me here,
Yeah.
And it's easier in those moments to be like, I need help than it is in the great moments to be like, thank you, instead of being like,
Yeah.
I just hit a home run or I just won that, But like, definitely have had moments like that where I forget,
Yeah, you get caught in that life's good. I'm not going to talk to you.
celebration and like,
And then something bad happens.
and you're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please come back.
Like,
That's what I'm saying.
forgot.
Like, he'll rein you in,
Yep.
and he's like, hey, like don't get
too.
yeah.
Remember where you came
You still need me, right?
Yeah.
Right? And
Right.
so, but I've talked to guys, I've tried to explain it to them. They're like, no, you did it, man. And I'm like,
No.
no, I didn't. I worked my butt off to be in that position, but I was panicking. Like I was scared to death. Like I shouldn't have hit that shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how I hit it, And so I was curious to know like how faith played into.
Oh no,
that
like I
for
said,
you.
at big time. It's, it's like you said. I feel like, and I'm very guilty of it. It's like the bigger moments or the bad times. It's like, I feel like I gravitate towards it more.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like I have to work on every day. It's like, but also it's like the good moments. It's like that's where
Yeah.
that's like where it's really like showing thanks to him.
Yeah.
Like, I remember in the 2021 the NLCS, I had a walk-off single down the line, and Blake Trinan, like he had my number, like guys nasty 98 99 would sink, and I cannot hit a sinker ball, save my life. Nasty slider at like 90, and I had like no clue what to even think about up there. And I still to this day remember Wash, down the line, he was like just he's like screaming at me. He's like, don't be too big. Don't be too big. And I just, like I said, remember like, stepping in the box and like being like, hey Lord, like it's in your hands. Like I have no chance, right now. It's like whatever happens. And I was able to like, butt out a single down the line and get it in. And it's just like, that was like I get chills still thinking about it. It's like, it's like the bigger picture of everything. It's like,
Right.
in a sense, like that moment really didn't mean anything,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. But, like I said, you get to grow in your faith, I think in moments like that.
100%.
Yeah, I think I've never understood why. Like that's been my biggest question is like, why would you allow me to have success? Like I just feel like I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
And so I struggle with that too. I'm like, God, why are you so good to me? And in moments, and allow me to even stand here and have a chance.
Right.
And that's the thing. This weekend I was like, it was over and I was like almost frustrated. I could feel myself just being like, God, why? Like that sucks, like to shoot that well and just have it taken from me at the end. And then it's almost like, hey, you idiot. Like you stood out there and battled like with the best in the world and played the game you love, and you can't,
Right. But I think also like he gives us all, unique skill sets
Yeah.
to go and take those above and to glorify him. And I think it's, your unique skill set. Maybe it's baseball, maybe it's something else. Maybe there's something you're better at than baseball. I don't know. Yours is shooting, and it's like there's your platform to kind of bring it back to him
my
and
dad-
like, do the best with it.
I struggle because, I grew up going to church and being very involved in church as a young guy and my family. And so when we travel, it's very hard to be faithful to a church and like a certain community at home all the time because I'm on the road so much. And so I struggle with that. And I called my dad. I remember him saying, even the Bible says like how we're part of like a body of Christ. And so like the fingers and the hands have a different job than the feet. It has a different job than the head. And so like we all are like that body of Christ. And so he calls us to different areas, And I'm far from perfect. Like I feel half the time I don't want to talk about him because I'm afraid like people are going to look at me and go,
Dude, that's the thing. There's this misconception of like, oh, you believe in God, you're a Christian, oh, you're perfect, and you're not.
Right.
No, you're not. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
I think
Part of
you
life. It's a
Christian,
life
you
of
understand
struggle.
You're not perfect.
Yeah.
It's a life of struggle, man. Like you're
Exactly.
gonna see me, cuss over here. Sometimes you'll see me do this thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's it's
Right.
just,
Yeah. I'm not
it's just what
perfect,
it
and I'm
is.
not asking you to be like me. It's about him, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
it's like, so that's like I think it's just been a big part of my life, and my like the whole reason I've done anything well ever. I think, but well, cool, man. I know like you guys you're at the Pittsburgh, so that's kind of why you were able to come down. I appreciate you coming down here,
thanks
man.
for having me. Like I said, I'm a big fan of yours, and
One day we're gonna get on a hunt together.
one of these days, I gotta cut. Yeah, me and my wife were talking. It was like we got like 3 weddings this off season.
Yeah.
And it's like I can't. I love my friends, but I'm ready to be
Not going.
wedding overs.
Yeah, I'm at that age now. Like I don't have many weddings.
Yeah, so that's like I said. I'm once that this past off season or this next off season's over with, well, it should line up.
Yeah,
good, so.
definitely. Well, we're Pirates fans here, but we're bigger Austin Riley fans. So I hope you have a great game tonight.
Appreciate
We'll
it.
be watching,
Yeah,
and
need a win. Y'all got us last night.
yeah, by 1 run. But
Go
yeah,
Braves.
man, I really appreciate you coming down, and
No,
and we'll definitely. I'm gonna call Joel Turner. Maybe we can just make a day of it sometime.
yeah, that'd be sweet because I'd love to.
Yeah.
Competitiveness is like it eats me alive every time I pull it out. Trying to.
But the way you attack baseball, once we get you to apply that to shooting, you'll have her whooped. But well, awesome, man. Good luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you.